I think loan documentation is one of those topics where one definitely benefits from experience. We've all encountered those transactions where lawyers have been involved who are very legalistic and pedantic. And I think one of the great skills is to try and complete the transaction on a commercial and a constructive base, to understand all the technical stuff, but to be able to be determined between the commercial aspects and the legalistic aspects. Another aspect is to gain the perspective of the counterparty from the other person's point of view. Too many financiers, in my view, take an adversarial approach to documentation negotiation. They take the point of view that if the client has won on a point, that they have lost, and vice versa. I don't think that is the correct way to approach the negotiation process. I think it would be a better analogy for financiers to see themselves as being in the back seat of the corporate vehicle. The management are at the driving seat, they're controlling the car, but the financiers are in the back seat. And anything that damages the vehicle not only hurts the management, but themselves as well. You're in it together. And I think when you approach negotiation on documentation from that perspective, it can lead to far more constructive outcomes. I have noticed that in previous runs of our course that many of the participants come from continental Europe, in other words, from a civil law jurisdiction. And so we start the course by identifying how common law differs from civil law. The differences are actually quite substantial. We then move on to look at the various documents, loan documentation, guarantees, security documentation. The one thing they all have in common is that they are contracts. And under law, there are certain circumstances where those contracts cannot be enforced. And so we have to identify circumstances where there is non-enforceability. We then move on and look at the loan agreement. We go through the LMA, standard form document, in some detail. And I identify in particular those clauses which are either battlefields between lenders and borrowers, for example, market disruption clause, material adverse change, or clauses where I think many people don't properly understand what those clauses achieve. For example, negative pledge, set-off, clauses of this nature. We wrap up with an observation of the effect of insolvency law on documentation. Insolvency law is statute-based and therefore sovereign, whereas contract is common law-based. Therefore, where they conflict, insolvency triumphs over the observations of the contract. If people are aware of how insolvency can change the nature of their rights, then they can take that into account when they structure the transaction in the first place. I look forward to welcoming any of your participants in the forthcoming courses, and why not put up a brochure of where people have to contact you if they wish to attend our upcoming training courses in loan documentation.